tonight, located at 2500 121st Street in Blue Island, Illinois. Okay, thank you everybody for tuning in. We're gonna get started today, and I want to start off with another topic that's important to everybody. Okay, so I'm gonna give you all a little hint again. The title this time is going to be the foundation. Okay, I want everybody to keep that in mind. The foundation. Okay, as I go on, you'll find out, more about the foundation and exactly what direction I'm going in. Okay, so God is good. We're going to have Bible study. We're going to let the Lord have His way. You all continue to pray. Continue to pray for one another. Continue to pray for yourselves. Continue to trusting and believing in the Lord, and let's go in a positive direction. Okay, 2023 is so much wickedness out here, and we becoming normal to it. Just a norm. We turn on the news and it doesn't faze us, right? So we got to get away from that. Okay, so just continue to pray, be prayerful for one another. You never know what the next man is going through. Okay, so let's continue to lift each other up. Okay, so let me start off with, I'm going to go to Psalms, and it's I just need y'all to stand for 1 second for the reading of the word, okay? But I'm just going to read a small portion of a verse, so you don't have to stand that long, okay? So we're going to go out of Psalms 127, and 1, okay? That's Psalms 127 and 1. Except the Lord built the house, they labor in vain that built it. You all may be seated. Nice and simple, right? Okay. So, Psalms 127 and 1. Except the Lord build a house, they labor in vain that built it. So, to labor in vain, except the Lord build a house, it's useless for the laborer, right? If the Lord has no part of it. Make sense? Okay? So, today's focus is the foundation of a structure, of a building, of anything that's built on top of it. Okay? So, the focus is the foundation because it's overlooked the most. When we see pretty buildings downtown, we look at the bright lights, the pretty windows, what's inside, what's outside, but we don't take time to think about that foundation that's supporting that building. Okay? So it's the most thing overlooked. The foundation is uniquely made, and its worth is underestimated. Okay? The worth of the foundation is completely underestimated. When we think about building a house, a big building, we think of the cost of the building, but we don't think about how much it costs to have that foundation laid. You know what I mean? And then, if we do find out the cost, we say, "Oh no, that's too expensive for that foundation." It should be a lot cheaper. But if the foundation can hold whatever is being built on it, it's almost priceless. Make sense? Okay. So the foundation, the purpose of the foundation, is to bear the load of the building structure or the very thing which is built on top of it, right? Or the purpose of the foundation is to anchor that building structure or the thing or that thing against natural forces. It's to anchor. Anchor meaning secure, protect, hold, support, fasten, comfort. Here's one, defend, right? So it's to anchor against natural forces. A lot of times we go through things and things happen, and we don't think about simple natural forces that's up against us, that's up against buildings, that's up against anything. Natural forces, which means it doesn't take a lot, or it doesn't have to be anything so extraordinary or unimaginable. It's just natural forces, right? That's up against the foundation. So it's a lot of things to work against a foundation, right? And a lot of times we don't realize that. So when things working against the foundation, we don't realize that what the foundation itself is up against, or what do it take for that foundation to remain standing, right? A big windstorm come through, And we see the building still there afterwards, and we know the building can take abuse, but what about the foundation, right? Something to think about. Last Wednesday I was here, the power went out, right? Something to think about. Natural forces, it was simply the rain and wind. Natural forces, which means it don't take a lot. It doesn't have to be, oh, let's create something. Nah, it's stuff that's already here, just natural, right? That we're up against. Okay, so the foundation is so important that once it's laid, it's made to last forever, right? And I think that's a significant role in any building process. When you say, okay, so okay, churchgoers, y'all don't mind if I call y'all churchgoers again, do y'all? Okay, okay, churchgoers. Here we go again. So the foundation is the beginning and the most important stage of any building process. So what do we know? It bears the load, right? It supports, prevents that structure from giving way, okay? Second of all, it anchors against physical forces. Sound familiar? A lot of times, something physical, it don't take much physical force to get us off balance sometimes, you know? We think it's those impossible things. It don't have to be impossible. It don't have to be so extreme. Just those little simple things. You know what I mean? So I always use the example, if I'm walking, let's just say I'm trying to walk to Western, right? And a physical force, nothing has to just stop me, but if it could just bump me and change the direction in which I'm going. Do that make sense? So if I'm walking this way and something bumped me and it turns me this way just a little bit, and I keep walking, it didn't stop me, but it's enough to get me off course, right? So, natural forces, those are things we gotta watch out for also, okay? So, okay, the foundation will last forever, okay? So, with the foundation lasting forever, it has to last forever. Let me tell you why. Because it wouldn't make sense to build a house that can last 100 years on a foundation that can only last 20 years, right? It doesn't make sense. It makes more sense for the foundation to be able to last 100 years or forever, and then what's built on top to last 20 or 50 years. Does that make sense? Because if it's the other way around, it's not gonna work, okay? So that foundation is so important. And the time that foundation is made to last forever, that satisfies me right there, right? So foundations lasting forever, that's a plus in my book, okay? So let's go to 1 Corinthians 3 and 10, okay? And I'm gonna read through this, and you all just follow along. And as I read each couple of verses, I'm gonna give you all a little insight. It's gonna be my insight, okay? But it's a positive message in all of this. I promise you're gonna leave out feeling better than when you came in, okay? If you came in here joyful, you're gonna leave out feeling joyful plus, okay? If you came in here feeling sad, you're gonna leave out feeling happy, okay? All right. So, 1 Corinthians 3 and 10, and I'm gonna go with the NIV version because I want to make sure we all get an understanding tonight. I don't want anybody to be left in the dark. If you do get left in the dark, somebody holler, Deacon Ken, read it over, and I'll do that for you, okay? Okay, so verse 10 says, and this is the NIV version, by the grace God has given to me, I lay a foundation as a wise builder, and someone else is building it. But each one should build with care. Okay? So, I always, when I read you all, I look for these little clues, okay? And it says, I laid a foundation as a wise builder, and someone else builds on it. So someone is laying the foundation, right? And someone else is building on it. We got two people, right? Okay, all right, y'all stay with me, okay? So, God has laid the foundation. And here, you know what? Let me bonus y'all. Let me give y'all the 11th verse right now, okay? It says, for no one can lay any foundation other than that, the one already laid, which is Jesus Christ. So the foundation is Jesus Christ, right? God laid the foundation, right? So with that foundation being Jesus Christ, starting from Jesus, you build your foundation up, right? Don't take any other route. Don't take a shortcut. Don't take any other option. Just go with Jesus. That's the foundation. And we learned that foundation will last how long? Forever, right? All right. Hey, I don't want to. Don't let me think I'm here by myself, y'all. Okay? That foundation will last forever, right? And that's good enough to satisfy me. If Jesus is going to be with me forever, if I'm building and He's going to be with me forever, I'm good. Okay? So it says, God has laid the foundation, which is Jesus Christ. Okay? You are the one being built, right? So Jesus is the foundation, and you're the one being built. You can't lay no other foundation. Don't take the cheap route. Don't take the cheap route out, y'all. Okay? Usually, when you're doing construction, we know what happens when you're doing construction. You take the cheap route, right? When you cut corners, when you use cheap material, right? It's costly at the end, right? So we want to make sure that foundation that we're starting with is Jesus Christ, and we want to make sure when we're building, which is ourselves, we're building ourselves up the right way, right? So a lot of times we think we're okay, we're doing it good, we're on the right track, right? Sometimes we need help staying on the right track, right? So we think of Jesus our foundation, make sure we stay on the right track, okay? So it says, this is the one you are to build on, that foundation. You should build with care, right? Didn't it mention that? So to get a clear understanding in the building process, God has laid the foundation, and it's your job to simply start building, right? Start building, start building. You all do me a favor, okay? Start building, okay? So a lot of times we get stuck in a rut sometimes. We go through trials and tribulations. No matter what you do, don't stop building, okay? Let me give you verse 12 and 13, okay? And we're just going to keep on going with this until everybody leave here happy, okay? So, verse 12 says, if anyone builds on this foundation using gold, silver, costly stones, wood, hay, or straw. 13 says, their work will be shown for what it is, because the day will bring it to light. It will be revealed with fire, and the fire will test the quality of each person's work. Anybody want to raise their hand? They need me to read that again? Let me read that 12th verse again, okay? It says, if anyone builds on this foundation using gold, silver, costly stone, wood, hay, or straw, their work will be shown for what it is. That right there. Because the day will bring it to light. There it is again. It will be revealed with fire, and the fire will test the quality of each person's work. Okay? So, yeah, that calls for amen, right? So it says the quality of each person's work will be tested. So here you go. Build how you want to build. It's completely up to you. You got options, right? Nobody being forced to build how somebody else wants them to build. Build how you want to build, right? But you know you need a solid foundation. It doesn't matter if you build your house of brick with all the finer things inside, with all the finest anchors to make this house stable. If your foundation isn't right, all that is what? In vain. Useless, right? I could have the prettiest house on the block with the worst foundation, right? We know foundations when it rains. We know what happens, right, with foundations when it rains. Yep, nicest house on the block, but it keeps flooding every time it rains. So some things we gotta watch out for. Okay, so but there will come a time when the quality of your build will be tested by trouble, by things unexpected, by things you don't want, right? The quality of your build is going to be tested. I say this all the time. Why do people go through something and one person don't get fazed when they go through it, but the next person, they go through it and it's like they rock, like punch drunk, you know? Why do situations get you like that, you know? Because you're not built for it. you know? Your foundation is off, right? You thought you had it under control, but as soon as that little storm comes, you all over the place, right? See, that happens to a lot of us. We wonder why people go through stuff. Why do people lose it, you know? And you can understand people losing it. You know, situations happen where you say, oh man, it was a tough situation. I see why he lost it, but he didn't have to. You know what I mean? You don't have to. You don't have to let things put you in a mental institution, you know? You gotta believe. You gotta be built for this stuff, you know? You gotta believe that a storm will come. That's the only way to get through it. You gotta believe that a storm will come. There's no other way. If you're thinking you will go through life and the sun is gonna shine every day for 365 days a year, I'm sorry, I got a news flash for you, you know? So we gotta build ourselves up, okay? So, 1 Corinthians 14 and 15, okay? Here we go back to the NIV version, okay? 14 and 15. It says, if what has been built survives, the builder will receive a reward. It says, if it is burned up, the builder will suffer loss, but yet will be saved, even though only as one escaping through the flames. Okay? So, there's the test right there, right? If it's burned up, that shows the quality of your build, right? You can't say, oh, I had a fire-resistant house, but it burned to the ground, right? Evidently, it wasn't fire-resistant. It couldn't withstand the heat. Make sense? So, the foundation was good, right? When a fire burned a house or a structure down to the ground, foundation is still there because the foundation will last how long? Forever, right? It's the build that can withstand it, right? So we got to make sure we build for trials and tribulations and all kind of situations, okay? So, through the fire, if what is built will survive or if it's destroyed, tough question. What state or condition will it leave the builder in? That's the question. If it's survived or destroyed, what state will it leave the builder in? If you got a building and it's completely destroyed, the building is completely destroyed, devastated from a trial or situation, what kind of state would you be left in? Right? We all go through something, right? And sometimes you can expect to go through certain things. But that question is, once I go through this, what kind of state am I going to be left in, right? Will I be dazed? Will I be rocked? Will I be able to get through this, right? Is anybody going to help me get through it, you know? And we think about that all the time when we say, oh, I can do this and I can do that. But what if you can't? What if you can't handle it? What do you do? Good question, right? And we all think we can handle it until we can't handle it, right? And when we realize we can't handle it, that situation is way out of control by the time we realize it, right? When you're trying to put out a fire, I used to, quick story, when you're trying to put out a fire, it don't take long for that fire to spread. I lived 2 doors down from where a house caught on fire. And from the time it takes to go to the front of the house to the back of the house, it was like the fire was moving with me. When I went to the back of my house, I saw the little roof on fire, and it was just a small fire of the roof. It seemed like when I walked to the front, the fire walked to the front with me, you know? So the whole roof was so it don't take long for fires or situations to get out of control. You follow what I'm saying? So we got to be prepared for things like that, right? And we try to fight situations, but by the time we realize that, hey, this is too much for me, our building is being consumed at a rate we can't handle. Make sense? Okay? So, it's a lot of things we got to watch out for, okay? So what kind of question will it leave the builder in? So when I say the builder, that's going to be you, okay? And what kind of state would that situation leave you in? Okay, churchgoers? Okay? Y'all with me? Okay, so not will it only be fire, but it's going to be storms, strong winds, extreme heat, severe cold, right? Heavy rain, What conditions will leave what was built? What condition would destroy it? You know what I mean? The last two verses, then someone can say, I got it. Okay, I'm going to give you two more verses. Then I want someone to holler, I got it. I see where you're going, okay? So, let me give you verse 16, okay? Y'all ready? Okay, I'm not here by myself, am I? Okay. So, it says, don't you know that you yourselves are God's temple? You that building, y'all. You that building. Somebody say, I'm that building. I'm that building. Okay. Don't you know that you yourself are God's temple and that God's Spirit dwells in your midst? God's Spirit dwells in your midst. Who's the foundation? Jesus, right? He's in your midst, right? He's the foundation. You built on top of Jesus, right? He's in your midst. Okay? So 17 says, if anyone destroys God's temple, God will destroy that person. For God's temple is made sacred, and you together are that temple. It says you together are that temple. Who's together? You and Jesus. Jesus is the foundation, and you're the building. Together, you all are the temple. God got you all right. Okay. So the thing is, we got to get that perfect build, right? We got to get that perfect build. We got to have Jesus in our life, and from Jesus, we got to be built up, right? We got to be built for any trial or tribulation, right? And not just bad things. We got to be built up to deal with good things too, right? If somebody hand you $1 million, you want to be built up well enough where you can handle it, right? You don't want somebody to give you $1 million and you're not built up for it, and you end up lost in drugs and alcohol. You know what I mean? You want to be built up for the good things as well as the bad, right? And sometimes we got to watch out more for the good things than the bad things, right? Because the good things will lead us right down the dark roads faster than some of the bad things, right? At least some of the bad things we can see coming, right? We can see a snake coming toward us, right? But when you try to pet that cute little poodle, right? And he bites you, you say, oh, I never saw that coming, right? So it's things that we got to be prepared for and build up for, good or bad. Either way, take your pick, right? So it's you who built you. Do that make sense? You're building your attitude. You're building your love. You're building your joy. You're building your way of thinking, okay? Let me stop right there and concentrate on you building your way of thinking, because I think this is a part where everybody thinks that they're thinking right. They're thinking on track. They're on point, right? But this is something that needs to be built up too. You can't think the same way you thought 10 years ago. You can't think the same way you thought 20 years ago, you know? We got to change that. A lot of times people say, oh, you can't change me, I am who I am. You mean you want to think the way you thought 20 years ago? You want to think that same way today? You want to think the same way when you didn't have kids? Now you got a house full of kids and you want to think the same way? Right? Before you had kids, it was cool for you to go out. You hit a restaurant and only order for yourself. That was the easy part, right? But now that you got a house full of kids, you can't go to Red Lobster and all them other places. You gotta economize now, right? So it's something we gotta think about, right? We gotta change our way of thinking, right? We gotta change our attitude. We gotta be more flexible, right? And all of this is in a building process, right? Sometimes people refuse to get built up. I am who I am. Don't try to change me. Why not? Why you don't want to change? You know? And y'all heard me say, when people don't want to change, do me a favor, y'all. Get away from them. Okay? When people, you know, because what it's actually saying is, nobody wants to be in a worse situation, but when you don't want to change, that means you don't want to be in a better situation either. You can't help me, you know? And if you don't want to change, I can't help you. The best thing to do is you sit over there and I sit all the way over here, you know? And it's bad. It got to be that way sometimes. But sometimes trying to convince people to change, right? It'll stunt your growth, right? You know, how long can you convince somebody to change? If they haven't changed in 20 years, unless you got 20 years worth of time to hold their hand, you might have to, you know, right, get those that want to change, you know, and make an impact. If you find 10 people that want to make a change, you good. You can move mountains, you know. Yeah, I can't get 100 people to change. Okay, you might be able to do the same thing with those 10, you know. Don't let the other 90 people stop you, right? Sometimes when I go places, I just look around the room, you know, and I say, man, it's enough talented people in here to build a house, you know. That's just stuff that get my attention, you know. And it don't take a lot of people sometimes. It don't take a crew of 50 people to do something. You can do the same thing with 5, right? Especially if they're all positive, pulling in the same direction. You get 50 people, 4 of them not gonna come on time, other 4 are gonna leave early, you know. Other 4 are gonna disagree with everything you say, you know. You get you a crew that's a small crew, and you good, you know. I think it's in our mind sometimes. When we want to get things done and we want to do it big, right? We want to get 100 people all on board, you know. You might not be able to do it, you know. Everybody not building at the same level you building, or everybody thought process is not building the same way you building. You follow what I'm saying? You know, you might be in a room with 5 architects with the man to build, right? Instead of being in a room with 10 people with what's in their mind, it's the only thing to rent. You know what I mean? So it's a lot of ways you could think about it, but you have to be built up. Okay? So we know the word is Jesus, right? And Jesus is the foundation. And the foundation you must build, and build carefully with care. Right? Psalms 40:2 says, He lifted me out of a pit, out of the mud. He set my feet up on a rock and gave me a place to stand. Think of that rock as the foundation, right? Struggling, stuck in mud, can't get out. That's your building process. You stuck trying to get out, spinning your wheels, right? Until you were placed on a rock, solid foundation. Now you're looking good, right? A lot of times we think we got the situation under control, and we're steady struggling through that whole situation. Get your feet up on a rock. Thank you, Jesus. You know, get your feet up on a rock. And sometimes we try everything but Jesus. That'd be our last resort sometime, right? When it should be our first choice, right? So when we trying to get our build correct, we got to think of Jesus first. It don't matter how we build, how well we build. If that foundation is not on track, not on point, not solid, it's not going to work. So first thing is the foundation, right? Then it's the build. Think of that rock. He put my feet up on a rock. Thank you, Jesus. He put my feet up on a rock and allowed me to stand. How many of us are standing? That's a good question, right? Another good question. Yeah, you're going through life, you walking around well, you know. You upright, but are you standing? You know? Sometimes we get dazed from so much, you know, just all over the place, unable to stand. We upright, but we like this, right? Right. You said wobbling. Keep that word in mind, okay? She said wobbling, okay? Y'all keep that word in mind for me, okay? But you like this, right? And sometimes you not just wobbling by yourself, you wobbling with somebody else, right? So both of y'all are doing like this. Or you got 3 or 4 people and all of you are doing like this. If you wobbling the same way I'm wobbling, it look like you okay. But just stand still and watch the other person wobble. You like, nah, there's something wrong with you. You off just a little bit, you know? So it's things like that we got to look out for, right? That solid foundation is so important. If you trying to, I say this all the time, if you're trying to hang a picture and your outlook is, you know, you're looking at it like this, you know, don't try to tell me how to hang the picture straight, you know? You have to stand, you know, you have to stand up straight. Look at the picture. Now you can tell me how to hang it up. And now once I hang it up, I'm going to step back and say, hey, does this look right? Does it look straight? Now you can tell me it looks straight, right? But as long as your head is like this, Nah, I think I'm gonna ask somebody else. You know, nothing personal, but I'm gonna ask somebody else. But we have to realize our build. We have to be upright. Our foundation have to be solid. These are things that it's like mandatory, you know. First of all, without Jesus, we can't do it. That's our foundation. If you all know another solid foundation, please let me know, okay? This foundation lasts forever. Why trust something that's gonna only last 50 years, okay? So it's something to think about, okay? And once the foundation is established, only then you can start building, okay? So anybody out there that's still not convinced, those that say, I build how I want to build, right? It's not that serious. I can tell you about a builder, about building of the wise and building of the foolish, right? If you think it's not that serious, I'm going to give you an example. I don't want anybody to think this example does not apply to them. I think this example is for everyone, including myself, right? Okay? So we're going to go to Matthew 7 and 24, okay? Matthew 7, and all of this I'm giving you all is the NIV version. I'm gonna tell you why. Because I read the King James version, and when I get deep into the Bible reading, the King James version is fine with me. But when I really want to break things down and understand, when I don't want to get lost in what I'm reading, I go to the NIV version. Do that make sense? Okay. So it's like when you're reading something, you understand. But if you kind of go to slang or go to a teenager's way of speaking, you know, they understand the words or whatever, you know, for a younger person. You know, when you really want to connect with them, you use them slangs, whatever they use these days, use the same ones, and they'll understand you better. So that's the thing, the understanding. When you want to understand it, you might have to switch your translation. Does that make sense? Okay, so Matthew 7 and 24 says, Therefore, everyone who hears these words of mine and puts them in practice is like a wise man who built his house on a rock. The 25 says, the rain came down, the stream rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house, yet it did not fall because its foundation on a rock. But everyone who hears these words of mine and does not build them does not put them into practice is like a foolish man who builds his house on sand. So the foolish man built his house on sand, right? And it says, and the rain came down, and the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against the house, and it fell with a great crash. So 2 examples, the wise man whose house withstood, right? And then the foolish man whose house came down with a great crash. Happens every day, you all. Happens every day. I think about those nice homes that deal with mudslides. Those homes are nice and expensive, you know? But what good is all of that? The big windows, what good is all of that if the foundation, when it rains, it's just going to be a mudslide? You know, that's in vain. It should be the other way around. Make the foundation a stand, and the house, cut back on a little bit of the glamour and the bright lights, and put that into the foundation. Right? Do that make sense? Okay. So, the wise man and the foolish, it happens every day. Nothing new. Don't think it doesn't happen in 2023, right? And they're building like that every day. I never forget. I seen them build a house in I was working in Indiana, and I seen them build a house, a frame house. And I'm not kidding, y'all. They built this house like in about a week, you know, frame house. And, you know, we were like, that house is not probably gonna last too many storms, you know. So all frame, all wood, all cheap stuff, and you know, I was like, man, that's not a good look, you know. But take your time building. You know, you got the solid foundation, build up and build up well. Use some bricks somewhere, right? Use a little bit more work and craftsmanship into it. You know, make things a little bit more solid, and it'll last. Okay. So we've all been foolish once, and what do you do? if you suffered a loss while building. We've all been foolish once, right? We've all built our house on sand before, right? I have. I'm the only one who built my house on sand, right? What do we do when things like that happen? Can I tell you all what to do? Yes? You all want me to tell you? I'm going to tell y'all one word to do. When you build your house on sand and it comes down, what do? Renovate, right? If you ever go through something and it doesn't work out the way you want it to, your house come tumbling down, you deal with a great crash, y'all promise me y'all gonna renovate, okay? And I see some renovators in here. Look around, y'all. Do y'all see some renovators? Huh? Can y'all rebuild whatever y'all going through, whatever trial or tribulation y'all face? Do y'all believe y'all can rebuild? Amen, right. Don't let it just be me believing. I don't want to be the only one in God's house believing. Believe that you can rebuild, you can renovate, okay? You can start from the foundation up and just completely do a renovation, right? We call it a 360. When you do that renovation, improve it. Once you're done, don't it look better and bigger and better than before the storm came? You'd be surprised, right? You'd be like, man, I'm glad the storm did come. Now look at my house, right? So renovation. Don't think it can't be done. Don't think other people don't go through it, right? But when you do renovate, use good material. It's your build, right? Build with things that's going to last, right? We've all been through something. We've all been through a storm. We've all dealt with, like they said, a great crash. Whether we want to admit it or not, we've all been through it. It's nothing new. 2023, nothing new. But it's that renovation process, how we bounce back, okay? So I think the foundation has always been there, but sometimes we choose to build on it. Or we build on it, but not with care, right? So when we don't build with care, when we building, it's gonna catch up with us, right? You can look at people's work. I call it people's craftsmanship, right? It's the quality of work, right? It's the quality of work in the building process. And you can look at things sometimes and see that they're a little off track, right? Can't you see a house sometime where the floor don't meet the walls quite right, right? Or the walls are a little crooked, right? Has anybody walls ever been a little crooked? The floor been a little bit unlevel? Or it's just me, right? So this is stuff that we go through, right? If you can notice in a building, you should be able to notice in yourself. Or notice it in the next man, you know? A lot of times we be off track and we don't want nobody to tell us. And we don't want to tell our friends, hey man, you're a little bit off, you know? You're not built right. Your foundation is a little shaky and your structure is just not intact, you know? And we don't want to tell each other that. When we talk to our friend, we kind of go along with them. We ride with them. Oh man, you cool, that's cool, you know? But we should tell them, hey, your way of thinking, your attitude, your love, it's a little bit off. That's your build, you know? And my dad say, don't send me out there half-cocked, you know? And that's how it should be. If you off, if something not right, tell me, you know? Don't have me, you know, I got on a multicolored shirt and I'm looking like a fool. And when I tell you, hey, how do I look? And you say, oh man, you sharp. You should wear that, you know? Nah, tell me. If I'm off, I'm off. Only way I can rebuild and renovate, which means if I got on a shirt that's not looking right, how do I renovate? Go back to my closet, take this shirt off and put on a new shirt and come out looking bigger and better than what I had on before. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah, it's all about renovating, okay? So, a renovation is in order. You all stay with me right quick. Let me give you all another verse in Isaiah 58, 11 and 12. Isaiah 58, 11 and 12. Sound like I'm going there by myself, y'all. y'all know, right, go with me. Y'all know I get lonely. Don't do that to me, okay? It says, the Lord will guide you always. So, that's saying he'll be with you, right? The Lord will guide you always, which means he will be with you, okay? Next sentence says, he will satisfy your needs in a sun-scorched land and will strengthen your frame. your frame. Your frame. Ain't that a building again? He will strengthen your building during any sign of trouble. Right? Then the next sentence says, you will be like a well-watered garden, like a spring whose waters never fail. That last part is key right there, y'all. It says you'll be restored to the point like the trouble never happened. You'll be restored, right? In a sun-scorched land, which means you'll be dried out, right? A sun-scorched land means no water, just completely dry. But it says you'll be like a well-watered garden, like a spring, those waters never failed. Like the water never stopped coming. That's what you'll be restored to, right? Ain't that something that's incredible, right? You mean I'll be restored like this situation never happened, like what I'm going through never took place, right? Like being battered and bruised never even affected my body, right? That's how we want to be. And I saw this verse, you all, and I was like, I gotta tell them this, you know what I mean? I gotta share this with them, because it's like every sentence, and that's how I read you all. Every sentence is telling you how you're gonna be, right? It says you're not gonna be devastated from what you're going through, right? It says you'll be restored. You're gonna be renovated, right? To the point like what fire took place, what storm, what rain, what flood took place, never even happened, right? That's how I want to be renovated, right? Okay, so Upperroom, I dare anybody to start doing these things for me, to start rebuilding, to start revamping, to upgrade, to start redeveloping, right? To update, restore, make over, or even renovating, right? I dare anybody to do that, and I dare you all to do it today and to start now, right? And while you renovating, look at your progress. You know, if you paint the mural, step back and look at your work. Don't wait till you finish. When you a quarter of the way, step back and look at your work, right? And use that motivation to do another quarter of the work, right? So now you halfway done. Step back again and look at that motivation. You say, man, I'm painting this thing good. I'm bouncing back, right? You look at it again and say, you know what? Man, I'm painting this thing good. Let me go back and paint some more, right? So you're using what you're doing at the bottom half to motivate you to do another quarter, right? Then you step back again and using what you see now to motivate you to do more, right? You're going to do the same thing with yourself, your building, right? So God said you're a temple, right? So when you rebuilding your temple from whatever trial or tribulation you went through, when you rebuilding, take a look at your work halfway there, you know, and say, man, I'm on a roll. I'm rebuilding this thing. I'm bouncing back, right? And it can be done. So sometimes we gotta see the progress we're making, right? A lot of times we go through something like, oh, I'm never gonna get through this. But look back, you getting through it, right? You getting through the storm, you know, right? Say, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow, you're going through it, right? You're not gonna get stuck, right? You just walking through, you just passing through, that's all, just passing through, right? Yes, okay? So, the Bible says, if any man be in Christ, he's a new creature, right? Old things are passed away. Behold, all things become new, right? All things become new. You mean what's old can become new? An old building can become new? Is it possible? An old, torn, raggedy building can become new? What about an old person? What about an old person's way of thinking? Not when I say old, I don't mean age. I mean your old way of thinking, your old attitude, your old love. Can that be renewed? Can that be restored? Can that be changed to something new? You know what I mean? Can that be improved is what I'm asking. Can we improve on that? Right? Can we improve on that? Like I said, we got to get out of that. Nobody can change my thinking. I've been thinking like this 20 years. Nah, can your way of thinking be improved? That's a simple question, right? Yeah, it's something. So you can always build and you can always improve. Don't anybody forget that, okay? So I got to ask a question, churchgoers, right? I got to ask a question. How are you building? That's a good question, right? If you're using all bricks, that's good. But how's your foundation? You're building well, right? The house is made of brick. Looks sharp, right? But what about your foundation? If your foundation ain't there, the build with all brick is in vain, right? That's something we got to think about. Even me, y'all. I think I test myself all the time, y'all. I look at myself sometime and I tell myself, I talk to myself out loud sometime too, And Ken, you ain't right, I do that in a minute, And I need to hear myself. Just like if we're painting, we need to see our mirror, our design. Sometimes we need to hear ourselves. Ken, you're not building right, So it's a building process, and all this is part of the process, right? Okay. So let me leave y'all with something, okay? Y'all not getting tired of me, are y'all? Churchgoers, y'all getting tired of me? Huh? Tell them y'all gonna leave out better. Y'all gonna leave out feeling better than when you came in, okay? All right. Let me leave y'all with something, okay? Hold on one second. Examples. See, so I know we talk ourselves through things, but can we see ourselves through things? Can we see examples, right? We can talk examples, but can we see examples? Y'all know what this is called? A wobble board, okay? It's called a wobble board. What word did you say? You said wobble. It's a wobble board. I'm gonna try to do this without killing myself, y'all, because I don't get on stuff like this. I'm too old to get on stuff like this. I was in a hospital for my hand, and a lady was in there for a broken wrist. And I told you this story before. She got on one of those, the thing with the two wheels for the kids that they ride around on, hoverboard. Yeah, she got on her nephew's, and as soon as she stood on it, she said it went, it did like that, and she tried to catch herself, broke her wrist. So I don't get on stuff like this, but I'm gonna show y'all because I want y'all to not just hear me, but I want you all to see me. Okay? So look at this, y'all. Look at this. This man, I'm about to kill myself. I'm shaking, man. So this is our foundation, you all. This is our foundation going through life, right? This is our foundation, and we think we got it. We think we got it in control. But any wind come, we doing this. Any sign of trouble, any bump, right? We doing this, right? This is our foundation, and we go through life like this. And sometimes when we get good, being on a wobble foundation, we get good at it, and we can balance ourselves real good, right? So we go through life and we thinking we okay. I got it. But soon as something happens, we back to doing this. We back to all over the place, right? So how many of us on a wobble board, right? Just me. Look, they sell these. Somebody making money off these. This is not the only wobble board out here. It's a lot of wobble boards out here. Believe me, y'all. Boy, I almost killed myself. I'm still shaking, y'all. I can't get on stuff like this. Man, I did this illustration before, and I had my daughter do it. If I needed her here today, y'all, man. But it's a lot of wobble boards out there, right? That's not the only one. I wasn't the only one standing on one. We all need to stand on a solid foundation. Do that make sense? Right? Get off that wobble board, y'all. So this how y'all gonna leave out feeling better than when y'all came in. Everybody get off that wobble board, okay? I know you brought it in here, but we gonna leave it here and we gonna leave out walking, standing upright, okay? Okay? So, I wanna leave y'all with one more quick thing. I know from time to time, and while I'm up here, it's kind of humorous sometimes. It's kind of serious sometimes. But I want you all to see your foundation. Okay, that's what I really want. Okay, and we all got work to do. Including me. We all got work to do. But when we start building, when we start renovating, check your foundation before you start, okay? You need Jesus first, okay? Thank you, everybody, for listening to me. Thanks for laughing with me. Thanks for being serious with me, okay? We on solid ground now, y'all. Y'all ready? Yeah. Okay. Amen. So, Facebook listeners, YouTube listeners, I'm glad you all tuned in. Thank you for watching. We appreciate you all. Just continue to watch, continue to tune in, and we love you all. And good night, okay? Thank you. Okay, so Upperroom, I wanna say one thing right quick. AJ, I'm off.